Life is not a straight line but a vast symphony where every note, joy or sorrow, clarity or confusion, belongs to a greater melody we cannot always hear in full. A storm may feel like dissonance, yet it gives depth to the harmony. Silence, too, is not absence, but a pause that allows the next chord to rise. What if every challenge you faced, every hesitation, every unseen turn, was not an interruption, but an essential part of the composition of your becoming? A positive attitude is not blind optimism. It is the choice to trust that the universe is purposeful, that even the most fragmented pieces of your story are threads in a divine tapestry. And when we see ourselves not as separate, but as dancers in this unfolding cosmic rhythm, happiness ceases to be something we chase. It becomes the very pulse of our existence. Asterisk, asterisk, for in the grand design, you were never lost. You were always music becoming whole. Asterisk, asterisk, life has never been a straight line. We all want it to be predictable, neat, like a map with every turn clearly marked. But it's not. It's more like music. Sometimes it's loud, exhilarating, and we feel like we're dancing in rhythm with it. Other times it's soft, almost imperceptible, and we question whether anything is happening at all. And then there are those moments that feel like complete chaos, notes clashing, sounds that make no sense. But here's the thing, even dissonance has a place in the symphony. Without it, there would be no contrast, no tension, no release. Without it, the music would be flat and forgettable. Think about the hardest chapter in your life, the one you maybe don't like to revisit. In the moment, it probably felt like noise, like nothing good could possibly emerge from it. But isn't it true that when you look back now, you can see how that very moment shaped you? Maybe it humbled you, maybe it redirected you, maybe it woke you up. Whatever it was, it became part of the score that makes you who you are today. That's the secret of life's music. Every single note belongs, even the ones we don't like. When we adopt a positive attitude, we aren't denying the pain or pretending everything is perfect. We're tuning our ears to hear the harmony that's already there. We're choosing to trust that even if the sound doesn't make sense right now, it will when the song unfolds. It's not about putting a fake smile on your face. It's about holding the belief that what you're experiencing is not random, it's rhythm. Silence, too, has meaning. Think about the pauses in a piece of music. Without them, the melody would collapse into chaos. But in the pause, something powerful happens. Anticipation builds. Space is created for the next note to land with more beauty, more weight. Life's quiet seasons work the same way. When it feels like nothing is happening, when you're stuck or waiting, that silence isn't empty. It's pregnant with possibility. Something is forming. Something is preparing to emerge. And when you start to see your life this way, everything shifts. Instead of resisting what is, you start flowing with it. Instead of labeling experiences as good or bad, success or failure, you start to understand them as necessary parts of the whole. That's what a positive attitude really is. It's the willingness to trust the music of your own life. And here's what's wild. When you trust the music, you begin to hear it everywhere, in the laughter of your child, in the exhaustion after a long day's work, in the sting of disappointment, in the quiet moment when you finally sit with yourself. Suddenly, nothing is wasted, nothing is meaningless. Every moment, even the imperfect ones, becomes part of something larger. That's why the first step toward happiness is not about fixing your circumstances. It's about changing how you listen. If you can see your life as a symphony instead of a straight line, if you can honor both the noise and the silence, you'll realize you're not lost. You're not behind, you're not broken, you are music becoming whole. And that is the power of a positive attitude. It lets you hear the beauty that's already inside the song of your life. If life really is a symphony, then challenges are the movements we rarely see coming, the sudden shifts in tempo, the sharp notes that jolt us awake. And here's the truth, most of us treat those moments as interruptions. We get frustrated, we resist, we ask, why me? Why now? But what if the very thing you're calling an interruption is actually choreography? What if it's a step in the dance that's meant to guide you somewhere you could never have gone on your own? Think back to a moment when life blindsided you. Maybe it was a breakup, a loss, a rejection, or a dream that crumbled right in front of you. In that instant, it felt like everything collapsed. But if you trace your life forward from that point, I bet you'll see something surprising. That challenge, unwanted, painful, disruptive, set in motion a chain of events that reshaped you. It forced you to grow in ways comfort never could. Challenges are not detours, they are part of the road. They refine us. They introduce us to strength we didn't know we had, and sometimes to a path we didn't know we needed. A positive attitude doesn't mean pretending the challenge isn't hard. It means refusing to reduce the experience to suffering alone. It's choosing to ask, what is this here to teach me? What rhythm is this moment adding to my song? The beauty of challenges is that they are the friction that creates movement. Without resistance, without weight, there's no growth. A seed doesn't split without pressure. Muscles don't strengthen without strain. The human spirit doesn't expand without being stretched by the unexpected. That's the paradox. We dread challenges, but they are the very architects of our transformation. And let's be honest, some challenges aren't elegant. They're messy. They break us open in ways we never wanted. But being broken is not the same as being destroyed. Sometimes the breaking is the making. Sometimes the cracks are where the light gets in. And when you carry a positive attitude into those moments, you give yourself the gift of perspective, the ability to hold both the pain of what's happening and the possibility of what it might become. Here's what I want you to consider. The dance of life doesn't skip steps. Every movement belongs. Even the stumble, even the fall is part of the choreography. When you trip, you don't leave the dance floor. You learn a new rhythm. And when you carry positivity into that learning, happiness isn't postponed until the challenge ends. It's found in the very act of trusting that this step, as hard as it feels, is moving you forward. So the next time life throws you off balance, instead of asking, why me? Try asking, where is this leading me? Shift the question, and you'll shift the experience. You'll discover that what once felt like chaos is often the very thing shaping you into someone who can carry the next movement with more grace, more strength, more wisdom. Because challenges aren't interruptions to your journey. They are the choreography of becoming, and with a positive attitude, every obstacle transforms from a wall into a doorway. There's something humbling about realizing how little control we actually have. We plan, we strategize, we set timelines, and yet, life has a way of rewriting the script. Sometimes it feels like the universe is speaking in a language we don't understand. And in those moments, trust becomes the only bridge that keeps us moving forward. Now, trust doesn't mean blind faith that everything will go our way. It means leaning into the possibility that there's a design at work, even if we can't see it yet. Think about it. How many times have you looked back on something that didn't work out and realized later that it wasn't rejection? It was redirection. At the time, it felt devastating. But hindsight revealed a hidden wisdom, a pattern you couldn't see while you were in the middle of it. A positive attitude is choosing to live with that hindsight in the present. It's choosing to believe that even in uncertainty, there's intention. It's the willingness to stand in the dark and say, I don't know where this path leads, but I trust that it's leading me somewhere I need to go. There's a deeper kind of freedom that comes when we stop needing to understand everything, because the truth is, life's design isn't always meant to be logical. It's layered, it's mysterious, and sometimes it unfolds in ways that defy reason but end up carving out more meaning than we could have ever orchestrated ourselves. When you let go of the need to control, you start to notice the small ways the design reveals itself. A chance meeting, a setback that opens a door you didn't know existed, a delay that saves you from something you weren't ready for. These moments, when you piece them together, start to look less like coincidence and more like choreography. And when you choose a positive attitude, you allow yourself to step into that choreography without fighting it. Here's the irony: the more we cling to certainty, the more miserable we become. But when we accept that not knowing is part of the process, peace comes. Happiness begins to rise, not because everything is perfect, but because we no longer need it to be, and maybe that's the whole point. We're not meant to have the full blueprint. We're meant to walk by rhythm, not by sight. Because if you knew every detail in advance, if you could see the entire arc of your life from beginning to end, where would the wonder be? Where would the growth be? Where would the awe of discovering your own strength come from? Positivity in its truest form is not shallow optimism. It's radical trust. It's saying yes to life without needing all the answers. And when you live this way, happiness isn't postponed until clarity arrives. Happiness comes from knowing that you're part of something larger, something that's weaving your story into the fabric of a greater whole. And if you can trust that even when you can't see the full design, you'll realize that life has never abandoned you, not once. It's been guiding you all along, because the secret isn't in knowing the planets, in trusting that there is one. If there's one thing we underestimate, it's just how much our perspective shapes our reality. Two people can go through the exact same experience, same loss, same challenge, same uncertainty, and walk away with completely different stories about what it meant. Why? Because it's not the event itself that defines us. It's the lens we choose to look through. A positive attitude is that lens. It doesn't erase pain or deny difficulty, it reframes them. It says, yes, this hurts, but there's more to see here. Yes, this is heavy, but maybe it's strengthening me. Yes, this is uncertain, but maybe it's also possibility in disguise. That shift in perspective doesn't just change how you feel in the moment, it changes the trajectory of your life. Think about someone you admire who's been through hardship. Maybe they lost everything and built again. Maybe they faced rejection after rejection and still found their way. The difference wasn't that life spared them. It didn't. The difference was that they decided to look at what happened through a different lens. They saw opportunity in the rubble. They found meaning in the silence. They chose not to let the story end where it hurt the most. Now, I want you to consider something powerful. Your mind is constantly interpreting reality. It's filtering, it's assigning meaning, it's creating a story about what's happening. That story is what shapes your experience of happiness or despair, possibility or defeat. The event doesn't change, but the lens you use does, and when you choose positivity, you're not ignoring the shadows. You're deciding to notice the light that still exists alongside them. It's easy to default to negativity. Our brains are wired for it. They're designed to scan for threats, to focus on what's wrong, to protect us from pain. That's survival, but survival isn't the same as living. Happiness requires a different choice, a conscious decision to tilt the lens toward what's life, giving, toward what's true, toward what can be learned. Reframing doesn't mean pretending. It doesn't mean plastering on a fake smile or denying the weight of what you're carrying. It means you allow the weight to be there, but you don't let it crush the meaning out of your life. You say, this isn't just pain, it's a teacher. This isn't just loss, it's a clearing for something new. This isn't just an ending, it's a beginning in disguise. And here's the beautiful thing: the more you practice shifting your lens, the more natural it becomes. At first, it feels forced, like trying to see color in a room that feels pitch black. But over time, your eyes adjust, your perspective sharpens, and one day, you'll look back and realize the positive attitude you practiced became the default way you experience life. That's when happiness stops being a pursuit and starts becoming your baseline. Not because life got easier, but because your vision got clearer, because you learned how to look at every experience, good or bad, loud or silent, joyful or painful, and see it not as a verdict, but as part of the unfolding. And that's the real gift of perspective. It doesn't change what happens, but it changes everything about how you live it. Because the story of your life isn't written by what happens to you. It's written by the lens through which you choose to see it. There's a moment in everyone's life when you realize that happiness isn't something you can create alone. Yes, it begins within you, but it grows in connection. We're not isolated beings moving through a vacuum where threads woven into a much larger tapestry. And the truth is, much of our pain comes from forgetting that, from believing that we're separate, that our struggles are ours alone, that our victories exist only for us. But think about music again. A single note is beautiful, but it only becomes a song when it joins with others. That's us. We are each a note in a larger melody, and when we choose positivity, we're not just lifting ourselves, we're lifting the entire harmony. Have you ever noticed how one person's attitude can shift an entire room? Walk into a meeting where someone is bitter, cynical, closed off, it drags everything down. But bring in someone who radiates optimism, who looks for possibility, who refuses to let heaviness dictate the energy, and suddenly everyone rises. That's not coincidence. That's the interconnectedness of human beings at work. When you see yourself as part of a greater whole, something changes. The burden you carry feels lighter because you know you're not carrying it alone. The joy you feel becomes deeper because it's multiplied when it's shared. That's why positive attitude is so powerful. It ripples. It doesn't stop with you. It moves outward, shaping the energy of your family, your community, even strangers you may never meet again. And here's the part that humbles me every time I think about it. What if the smallest choices you make, the smile you offer, the patience you extend, the kindness you give are not just acts of positivity, but part of a cosmic rhythm, guiding someone else through their own movement of the symphony? You may never know the impact, but that doesn't make it any less real. When we live with a positive attitude, we step into our role as co-creators in something far bigger than ourselves. We become contributors to the harmony, not just passive listeners. We stop asking only, how does this affect me? And start asking, how does this add to the whole? And in that shift, we discover a deeper kind of happiness, the kind that doesn't depend solely on our personal circumstances, but on the joy of knowing we're part of something unfolding collectively. Look at nature. A tree doesn't grow for itself alone. Its roots hold the soil. Its branches shelter birds. Its leaves create oxygen that sustains life. And yet, the tree is still fully itself, complete in its design. That's us too. Happiness comes not from isolating, but from realizing our existence feeds into something larger. So when you choose positivity, you're not just doing it for you. You're doing it for everyone whose lives touch yours. You're playing your note in a way that keeps the music alive. And when we all do that, happiness ceases to be fragile or fleeting. It becomes something enduring, something woven into the very fabric of our shared humanity. Because at the end of the day, you were never meant to carry your life alone. You were meant to be part of the song. And when you embrace that truth, positivity becomes more than an attitude. It becomes your contribution to the harmony of the world. There's a misconception about positivity that I think holds a lot of people back. We think it's supposed to be a mood, something that just floats in when life is good and drifts away when things get hard. But that's not positivity, that's convenience. Real positivity, the kind that actually transforms your life, is a practice. It's a daily act of faith. Every morning you get to decide, what lens am I going to look through today? What story am I going to tell myself about what happens? Will I choose to see problems as proof that life is against me? Or will I choose to see them as proof that life is shaping me? That choice isn't flashy. Most days it's quiet. It looks like catching yourself in a spiral of negativity and saying, wait, there's another way to see this. It looks like leaning into gratitude when it would be easier to complain. It looks like believing that even in uncertainty, something meaningful is unfolding. And yes, some days you'll get it wrong. You'll wake up tired, you'll snap at people you love, you'll fall into old patterns. That doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're human. Positivity isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about returning to the choice again and again until it becomes the rhythm you move to, the way you carry yourself through both storms and sunshine. When you start to live this way, happiness stops being a finish line. It stops being something you hope to arrive at someday after you've solved every problem or checked every box. Happiness becomes the echo of your daily choices. It's what rises up naturally when you trust the music of your life, when you embrace the choreography of challenges, when you believe in the unseen design, when you choose to look through a lens that honors both pain and possibility, when you recognize your role in the greater harmony. Happiness is not a destination. It's the pulse of a life lived in alignment with all of that. And here's the beauty. No matter what you've been through, no matter where you are right now, you always have access to that choice. Nobody can take it from you. Circumstances may be out of your control, but your attitude never is. It belongs to you. It's your instrument in the grand symphony. And when you pick it up and play it with intention, you change not only your own experience, you change the entire atmosphere around you. So let me ask you, what if you stopped waiting for happiness to arrive? What if you stopped treating positivity like a lucky break and started treating it like a discipline, a way of honoring both yourself and the bigger story you're part of? Because the truth is, happiness has been here all along, not out there waiting for you, but in here waiting for you to choose it. And that choice, that act of faith you make every single day, is what turns an ordinary life into something extraordinary. Because positivity isn't just the secret to happiness. It's the way you become the masterpiece of your own unfolding.